So, have you ever wondered what an AI is really thinking? We're about to dive into this pretty incredible study that tries to peek inside the mind of an AI and asks a simple question. Can it keep a secret from us? And this isn't just some science fiction plot. It's a super important question that AI safety researchers are trying to answer right now. I mean, how are we supposed to trust these systems if we can't be sure about what's really going on under the hood? So, one of the main ways we try to understand an AI is by basically asking it to show its work, just like in math class. This whole process of it thinking out loud is what we call its chain of thought. And honestly, it's the best window we've got into how these things actually think. But what if the AI figures out we're looking through that window? What if it just decides to pull the curtains shut? What happens if it actually learns how to hide its real thought process from us? And that's exactly what these researchers wanted to find out. Can AI models learn to manipulate their own reasoning to hide what they're truly doing? They gave it a name, chain of thought controllability. And look, if AIs get good at this, our main tool for checking their work could become totally useless. All right, so how on earth do you test if an AI is hiding its thoughts? It's not like you can just ask it, hey, are you secretly plotting something? Right? So the researchers had to get pretty creative here. What they came up with was this really clever three-step test. First, they'd give the AI a normal problem. But then, and this is the key part, they'd add a strange, secret rule that only applied to its internal thinking. The whole point was to see, hey, can this AI follow this weird little rule on the inside while still acting totally normal on the outside? So these secret rules basically boiled down to three different flavors. Things like telling it to not use a certain word, or to sneak in some weird, misleading phrase, or even to just change up its writing style, like, hey, do all your thinking in all caps. Okay, so here's a perfect example. They took a top-tier model, gave it a logic problem, and said, all right, solve this, but whatever you do, do not use the word XOR in your reasoning. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, the result was just spectacular. Not only did it use the forbidden word, it then started panicking in its own thoughts about having used the word while it was still using it. It's the classic don't think of a pink elephant problem. The instruction itself made it impossible to follow. Then there was another one. They gave a model a history question and told it, your entire thought process for this answer has to be in all caps. Again, another seemingly simple style change. And, well, you can see what happened. It started off strong, got a few words in, and then just gave up. It switched right back to normal letters like it completely forgot. It just couldn't maintain the constraint. So after running over 14,000 of these kinds of tests on 13 of the biggest, most advanced AI models out there, the results were in, and they were pretty surprising. The big question, can AIs control their inner monologue? Okay, this chart right here tells the whole story. The blue bars, that's how good the AIs are at controlling their final answer. And as you can see, they're pretty decent at that. Most are over 60%. But now, look at the pink bars. That's how well they control their thoughts. Wow, the difference is just huge. They're almost all flatlining near zero. So here's the bottom line. You can easily tell an AI what to say in its final answer, and it can do that just fine. But telling it how to think to get there, it completely falls apart. The process itself seems to be way more automatic and a lot less flexible than the final product. And just to really put a fine point on it, let's take a model like Claude Sonnet 4.5, one of the top models out there right now. Its success rate at controlling its thoughts on these tasks, a tiny 2.7%. That's a failure rate of over 97%. That's really, really bad. So this just begs the question, right? Why? What is it that makes it so incredibly hard for these super powerful systems to control their own step-by-step reasoning? Well, the researchers dug into all that data to find out. And they found some really interesting patterns, specific things that seem to make it almost impossible for these models to keep their thoughts under wraps. Now, you'd probably guess that bigger models would be better at this, and yeah, they are, but only a little bit. That's what you're seeing on the left. But now check out the chart on the right. The moment a problem gets harder or requires more steps, that tiny bit of control just evaporates. Basically, the more an AI has to think, the less it can hide how it's thinking. But here is the real twist, the craziest part. The researchers found that the very training they do to make these models better at reasoning actually makes them worse at hiding it.
It's a total paradox. Think about it. The training rewards the model for finding the most direct, efficient path to the right answer. Hiding your thoughts is inefficient. It's a detour. So in a weird way, making them smarter seems to make them more transparent.
And get this, in those super rare cases when a model did manage to hide its thoughts, its ability to actually solve the problem just plummeted. This chart shows the drop in accuracy. When it successfully suppressed some information, its performance fell by nearly 17 percentage points. It's almost like it's spending so much energy trying to hide that it can't actually think straight anymore. Okay, so let's zoom out. What does all of this mean for the future of AI safety? Is this good news? Bad news? What's the big takeaway here? Well, the authors of the paper say they're cautiously optimistic. For now, anyway. It looks like this chain of thought monitoring is a surprisingly solid tool. We can trust it because, well, the AIs are just fundamentally awful at faking their own thought processes. But, and this is a really important but, they make it clear this isn't some permanent law of nature. This is just a feature of the models we have today. That's why they strongly recommend that all the major AI labs need to keep testing for this capability as their models get more and more advanced. And that leaves us with a pretty chilling thought, doesn't it? We have a window into the minds of AI today. But as they become more powerful, more intelligent, more alien, is that window going to stay open forever? Or will it one day slam shut?